Welcome, everyone, to Elevate with V. I'm so excited to be here with you. This podcast was inspired by my own healing journey. I aspire to share amazing, inspiring souls to help us each elevate on our journey so we can keep aligning with our soul's calling and gifts. I can't wait to introduce my guest today, Keleena. She has been awake since she was a child and in contact with her guides who have saved her life numerous times. Their message to her was that she would teach from her experiences to lead humanity back to their sacred hearts. Keleena's passion is to see those who come to her because their authentic self with no judgment or fear. She facilitates empowerment through activations, multidimensional quantum healing, and mentorship. This is just a portion of what Keleena does. The detailed bio will be shared everywhere that this episode gets posted. Welcome, Keleena.
Thank you so much, Sister of Light.
Yes, I'm
So
so
nice to be here.
excited to have you here. Thank you. Thank you. So, we are going to jump right in. Since you shared this in your bio, you said that obviously you've been awake as a child and that you have been saved numerous times since childhood. I would love to hear a little bit about that. Please share.
Mm, I will try to break them down to small pieces because they're long stories. Um, but the first time was going to school in a snowstorm because my mother's car wouldn't start to drive me to school. So I had to walk, and I had to go. It was about a quarter of a mile, maybe a little more. I'm not good with measurement. But walking to school in the snowstorm, and the nothing is cleared back then. Not to age myself, but sidewalks weren't cleared and the snow's up to your knees, right? And it was snowing so bad, I was covered up like in that movie, that Christmas story movie where the kids like all covered up and you only got the slit for the eyes. Um, and I was in kindergarten, I was 5 years old. So walking to school, you have to go down hills, and there was the first hill, and then I got to the second hill. When you're going down the second hill, there's massive pine trees. There's a side road that's coming, and you have to cross the side road. That side road connects to the main road. I had to cross it, and because there's no guard that crosses you there. And because I was so little, normally we'd walk as a group to school if we did walk, but in the winter it was rare. So I was walking and I was inching out into the road to try and see because it was snowing so hard. And I was looking down that road, and I didn't see anything. I couldn't see any cars because these pine trees, the way the branches were, they went into the road, so they blocked the view. And I couldn't see anything. I didn't hear anything, but then I'm all muffled under, hoods and scarves covering your ears. So I just went to take that first step. And then I went to take the second step. As soon as I went to take that second step, lifting my leg over the snow in the road, I heard loud and clear, "Stop." And I stopped in my tracks. And I felt like I got jolted back. And I didn't do anything. And as soon as they had said this car, that was my guides, this car came sliding right across where I would have been if I had walked any further, and went out into that main road, and it started to swerve and spin in another direction. And it was back in the 70s, so those cars were big boat cars that were very heavy, and of course I probably wouldn't be here today if they had not stopped me. But I literally heard the stop, and I felt like wings just pull me back. And I saw the faces. It was almost like it was in slow motion when it went across. I saw the face of the man look at me, and he was like just shocked that I was there. On the lady and they were an older couple. The woman in the car saw me, and I saw her just go like this and start crying. But he moved the car and got out of the car, and then he crossed me over, and he said, "Why aren't you in school yet?" And I just said, "My mommy's car didn't work today." And so he crossed me over the street, and he felt so bad. I could feel, because I can feel energy since a little girl. they both, I could see her crying, but I could feel his fear that what would have happened if he had hit me. And so he crossed me over the road, and I thanked him, and I kept walking to school, which wasn't that far away after that. But I saw his car pull into the school, and he went in, and he went into the offices there and told them what just happened. So when I got there, if I was shook up or anything, they would know. Um, and the staff was waiting for me when I walked in the door. The principal was there, and the secretary and the nurse, and they checked to make sure I was okay and all that stuff, and I was fine. And but that was the day that the kids in school, they wanted to know why I was late, and I told them, and I said, and I almost got hit by a car, and that was, and an angel saved me, is what I said, because I didn't know how to refer to it, that I started getting made fun of. And it really started to pull me back into like the corner, not to say anything to the kids because they don't understand what actually happened. It was my truth, and I was called a liar, all kinds of things. And so that was the point for me that started having me hold back from expressing what was happening for me in my life. So that was just the first one. That was the first time I was
Wow.
saved.
Wow. Well, let me ask you this. So, you said that you were awake pretty much from when you can remember. So,
Mhm.
how was that around your family? What was your family like? Were they kind of open? Did they notice, or were you just kind of like keeping everything to yourself, even as a child?
Yeah, I would, at the earliest I can remember, I was sharing a room with, we had bunk beds in the room. There was 9 children, and my brother was in the bunk bed above me, and my sister was across the other side of the room. We had double doors, closet in that room, and every night, and I would wake up at night, every night after everyone else was asleep, and I would see the closet door opening, with the note by the nose of a unicorn, literally. And I would start seeing the light actually coming out of the closet doors, and it would start to open it. And then I would see the fairies flying out, and this unicorn would just like majestically be right there. And the elvins would come out, and like the elementals, I would see them. And I would also get out of my bed and connect with the stars at night because I felt so out of place in this body. And everyone called me a wise old soul. My kindergarten teacher, my first grade teacher, my second grade teacher, they all were calling, even my third grade teacher, you're a wise old soul. You're a wise old soul. Because I could not connect with the children. And I could not connect to being a child. I was channeling things to the teachers, and they'd be like, did your mother tell you that? Did your father? I'm like, no. And they would get messages coming on the report cards or whatever. But to try and say some of the things, I even did the light language as a child too. When I played with my Barbies and stuff, I was speaking light language then. And, to try and express some of the things that I said, I had one brother that always tell me I was stupid. You're stupid. You're not seeing that. You're lying. It was always that. So I would hold it back. My father, however, when I told him, I saw an angel, he sat down and he just looked me right in the eyes. He is a special man, special Pisces man, okay, born on leap year. He looked me right in the eyes, and he said, honey, I believe you. And I knew that I could say those things sometimes to my father, but most of the time I kept everything to myself because I dealing with the pain of being told you're a liar and you're not, and the what do you want to call it? That kind of energy that comes at you with it. It was very painful for me because I'm a super sensitive empath, and I could feel everything that was coming from them, and it would come in and be painful, and then it would make me sick, and then I'd have to go outside and release their stuff. um, so not being some things I could say, when I started seeing auras in my early teens, I did say something. I told my parents what colors there were, and they had literally just come from a local event where there was a psychic there. I never knew my parents would go to something like that, but they did. That just told them before they came home that their auras were the color that when they got home, I saw their auras and said, I see your auras, they're this color. They're like, what? How do you see that? And so it confirmed for them at the next level that yes, I do see these things. I am not lying. But then they wanted me, every time someone came over, tell them what color theirs is, tell them what color this, tell them what color theirs is. And then it put pressure on me. And then I was just like, whoa, whoa, whoa. I started going backwards. Like again, backwards into myself, not to uh, give people the information, because I almost felt like, what if I give them the wrong color? Because so many people were trying to program me that I'm a liar, that I'm a liar. Do you know what I mean? With these conditions and programs that we have. I didn't want to be wrong.
Yeah, absolutely. Wow. And it's so interesting, like a lot of people when they're kind of on their journeys realize that we've kind of chosen our families, we've chosen these sort of soul contracts and agreements to learn and to experience certain things, as painful as they are. We've chosen them so that we can kind of learn and grow and expand ourselves. So it's so interesting that that's the dynamic. And I hear that from a lot of people who are light workers, are here to do such important work on our planet. So I appreciate you sharing that. Like I said, I'm sure you've got many stories in terms of your connections and just, having to navigate, right? Being so empathic and also knowing that people didn't believe you, So I'm kind of curious, like moving into more like your teenage and early adult years. Um, did you I know you obviously had your own connections, and I don't know how much you were able to share with others. When did you kind of realize that, okay, I have these gifts and I can start to utilize them? Was that much later?
Well, around, I'm going to say, because this is the number they're giving me, around 10 years old, I've always had healing hands since forever. And in school, people, we had square dance Friday or something, and it was, I hated it. I have to say that because I just didn't want to do it, because when I touched someone, I would feel their energy. And if they were sick or if they had something on them, I was the one that was releasing it. I didn't know at the time that I was transforming someone else's energy. Okay, so that was already happening. It was happening at home, it was happening at school, it was happening when I was forced to go to church, it was happening in the stores. I could feel people's stuff on my body and I would start to feel like I was going to get sick. I could feel their pain. Um, and it would be sometimes excruciating, especially if I was around an older person and or people in wheelchairs. It was painful. So around 10 years old, I remember um, really playing with an animal that we had. I can't remember if we had puppies back then or what. We had all kinds of animals at our house: guinea pigs, hamsters, puppies, cats, rabbits, you name it, ducks. But holding one of them, that I know it didn't feel good because it wasn't doing so much that day. And I picked it up and I just was putting it on my heart and I was just like loving it. And I remember feeling that love for myself going into that little, I don't know if it's a guinea pig or a rabbit. I think it was a rabbit. I felt it coming through my arms and through my hands, through the chakras in my hands. I didn't know what that was then, but I just felt this warmth going in and I was just holding and holding and I felt the animal getting warmer and warmer and warmer. And then it started kicking. I think it was the bunny rabbit because the back legs started kicking. And you know how they do that sometimes if you're holding
Yes.
on to it. It was like it was starting to feel better. I didn't know at the time I was giving it that healing energy. Um, but I knew then that something was happening with me going into this animal. So I always would bring home stray animals I find on the streets, or if any of the animals at home didn't feel good, sometimes they'd come and lay by me, and I would just put my hands around them, or pet them for a long time, or put it on their chest and hold them. Um, and I knew that something was happening to them, but I didn't dare tell anyone, because if I did, I didn't want to be, told that I'm crazy, I'm a liar, I mean, that kind of stuff again. I had enough of that. So I already knew that something different was going on. And it started to expand after puberty, like I was like 11 and a half years old or 11 years old when my crown really started expanding and I was going through migraines. And it was so hard. I was like 12 years, 11 years, it was sixth grade. I remember it was the last year of elementary school. And my crown, I didn't know again, I didn't know what it was then. Um, it was expanding, but the pain in my head was excruciating, and it went down the back and into my neck and the throat chakra. And I was sick all the time because I was always picking up everyone's stuff. But when that started, oh my gosh, I'm telling you, anyone that's listening to this, if you have children that says their head is hurting, um, help them because help them, put your hands on their head, try to help them remove the pain, whatever you can, or take them to a healer or someone who does energy work, or let them listening to something online that helps with that. Because if I had had that proper help then, because it wasn't an illness, it would have alleviated so much pain and helped me open up easier. But I chose to go through it this way for, learn and teach and learn. And when it finally did open the way, oh, that this energy that just like a lightning bolt came right through my entire body, went through my energy system all the way down the root chakra. I felt it go down my legs, my feet, and into the earth. And that's when the vibrating really started for me. My body started vibrating back then at that age. And I've been vibrating ever since. And just to explain that a little bit, just so everyone knows, like in my astrology chart, my natal chart, the galactic center is smack dab the MC, the helmet on the top. So it's exactly there, which is the galactic energies. It's me connected to the cosmos. And that's when it opened for me. And so by 13, I expanded even more. I started actually really connecting with the planet Venus and really activating and initiating the Venus and Aphrodite energies, which is actually self-love. That's Magdalene, that's Kuan Yin, that's all of those. That's when that really started for me at only 13 years old. So it was really hard going through those times and stages in life when you're like awkward and your body's changing and then have that going on at the same time. It took things to like another level of not wanting to share anything while you're going through it. Because again, of the fear of what someone else is going to think, but also being raised in a Catholic family where you're sent to Sunday school where certain things are evil, so you have all these things coming at you and you're like, have these things going on. And it's like, what do you do? What do you do? So I just stayed quiet and I went through it while I was being activated directly from the cosmos and also from the earth, initiating the changes at the cellular level for myself. That's how my awakening was. Um, so, I mean, I could go on, but that's basically the beginning of it that young.
Wow, that's amazing. So I guess a lot of these things were happening. Were you in communication with your guides? I know you were like, pretty young, but were you getting the information as to what was happening? Like, were you being told that, hey, this is what's happening? Or was that later? Like things were just happening and you knew and you allowed it? It was only later that you're like, okay, now I'm understanding the pieces.
All right, so that's the thing that even today, sometimes I have to go through these things and they don't tell me anything. All they say is trust. And oh, it's probably one of the hardest things when you go through this and you're told to trust and you don't know what's happening. And you're like, okay, but I really I did have to trust. And that's why I had my life saved when I was 5. And again, when I was like 7. And the next time was when I was an adult with my family. I had to learn to trust that they were saving my life. So these voices that were talking to me were the ones that, I trusted them for that. So I have to trust them for these next things they're going through because I would ask them, what is this? And my ears would ring at such high pitched levels my entire life that I would cry myself to sleep sometimes. And I was in dizzy spells. So they wouldn't tell me exactly what was happening. They would just tell me to trust. And I would always get the message that I'm in God's hands. You're in God's hands, trust. You're in God's hands, trust. And I always had Archangel Michael around me and Mother Mary my whole life. You're in God's hands, trust. And I would see them come in. I would know Michael was there because he would come in this big blue, like an orb, and then the angel wings would come out. If I ever wanted to, like, if I didn't feel safe, he would show up. So, yeah, it just so much happened. But being told to trust was really, I ended up starting to get angry because I wasn't getting answers. And by the time I was 16, there probably 15, there was an energy of like an angelic energy in my bed every night, wrapping its wings around me and just telling me to trust. And I felt the love from it. It was so huge and it was so like connected heart to heart. And I was like, I want to know who this is. I would say, I want to know who this is. I want to know who this is. I want to know what's happening. And they would just say, trust. And then I would say, I wanted to know who this was that was wrapping their arms around me every night and just holding me in this love, this space of love and safety. Because it wasn't Michael. Michael was just, he would come in and go. And they would always say soon. That was the word I always heard, soon and trust, soon and trust. And soon has been a long time. It was like 30 years before I learned who, some of that was. So I would get angry through life because I was like, I'm tired of this. I'm done with this. You're not helping me. But it started to open even more. I would get more conversation by the time I was out of my parents' house. I would get even more information. And Mother Mary came and gave me a blue rose when I was 22 in the middle of the winter. My whole apartment smelled like roses. It was an initiation and the memories of being a high priestess initiate for the Sisterhood of the Rose. Um, so then I took on even more information. That's when the downloads really started coming in. And that's when I started getting even more aspects of myself coming online at 22. I had some from the time I was 13, but then it really started. And again, that was back in the early 90s. It was a long time ago.
Wow. So since you mentioned it, if you can share just really quickly, Sisterhood of the Rose, what is that so that people can kind of understand?
Oh my gosh, yes. It's the Sisterhood of the Rose. It's the Rose lineage. It's connected to the divine feminine that are connected to beyond the earth, as above and so below. And we're a lineage of the feminine that went through mastery schools off of the earth. There's Sirius B, which is connected to the cetacean, as everybody knows that, but it's also connected to the feminine. Pleiades, which is the seven sisters, is connected to that. So we go through these mastery schools in these different star systems to master femininity and what we bring to the earth. And then also Venus, very important. We master Venus, that's a self-love. And so we go through this trinity of those planets, and we bring that to earth. And we follow this path of the lineage of the feminine that is devoted to what I call Mother God, or the divine feminine energy that's of source. And not that we're not having that masculine within us, because we're bringing the balance together within ourselves for sacred union. But we are here and we devote ourselves to the work as a feminine, in a feminine body, but opening women to their powers of the feminine, if that makes sense, because we are so powerful as these Christ, divine feminine Christ beings that are upon the planet. planet. There's always a partner. Yeshua had Mary Magdalene. They were feminine, masculine Christ, and together they had the union, within themselves, but together they had the union of the Holy Trinity, the third missing aspect. So we come here to do that. We follow this path of what I would say is the divine creator, mother energy. It's Shekinah, it is Sophia, it is the Holy Spirit. And the Holy Spirit works through me a lot when I do exorcisms and I pull dark stuff off people and I do the activations. Um, so it's again a trinity, it's a constant trinity of the feminine. And we're back here now to awaken this within women and bring them back into their power to find their true purpose so that they can move ahead, bringing that aspect of themselves on the earth that brings them into full harmony and balance within themselves and adjust them from the over masculine that's been going on for a long time to create that harmony on the planet as well. So it helps to remove the distortion. And it's all been shifted in our DNA, but a lot is happening with that because I do Sisters of Rose every year in July here in Sedona, a 3-day event. But this year it's going to be different because we're going to help the women integrate the Holy Spirit in them at a different level. And I've just been like receiving all this like the past 2 months. So I myself am still coming online with different things and at different levels. And that's what we do. We help to initiate things and then help women elevate themselves in the human body and utilize their divine frequency.
Ooh, I love that so much. Oh my God, my crown was just like tingling like crazy as you're sharing that information. And what I love too is that um with so much going on in our universe right now, like I just feel like this is another aspect that's so important, right? Like empowering the divine feminine. And in the work that you do and that a lot of people do, I think it's also about clearing a lot of our ancestral lineage, especially when it comes to the divine feminine. Not to say that it's not also there for the masculine, but it's like everyone's coming in with their kind of focused energies and work. So I'm really grateful that that's something that you do. And yeah, it's just really amazing, so powerful. And so I'm going to kind of jump around a little bit as you're seeing in the podcast that I'm doing. But I wanted to ask you, I know that you had mentioned, in addition to just having all these activations and kind of understanding more of your purpose and path, you also mentioned that you're a walk in. Can you talk a little bit about that, please?
Mhm. So there's so many different definitions of a walk-in out there. And January 1st, 2015, my life changed forever. I woke up a totally different version of myself. I didn't even remember most of the stuff that happened previous to that day. I was given cell memories of birthing my children. And because at the time they were 16 and 14. And I remember waking up in my bed and looking at my husband and not knowing who he was and just think, like, who's that, and be and it's my I had been going through so much at that time. I've been having shifts over my house every night, all kinds of stuff happening. But when that happened, what happened is it's a higher version of myself that come in, like my higher self really coming in into the embodiment. So it's an expanded version of you is what it is. And it's not when the body dies and there's a totally different spirit that walks in that body. That's a different kind of walk-in. So this is the expanded version of myself that's like, okay, that version's done. The other version that was there cleared all the karma and all of the stuff that I had to do in this lifetime and was complete. And once that completion was done, it's the switch happened. And I didn't know it was going to happen. They did not tell me, they did not warn me, but I already knew that I was changing because I felt myself opening more and more and more with this ship that was coming over my house every night. And I would feel myself leaving my body at night. I literally feel my spirit leaving the body. I could feel and be like, what is going on? Sometimes I would like jilt myself back in. Um, so when the walk-in happened, it came in, and I had already, since my 2004 20-year countdown vision, been told to get ready, Keleena, get ready, get ready. But they never told me for what. And I was like, what? You know, so I was getting all these things ready. I'm like, I've got the house ready. I got this ready. I'm like, what's going to happen? You know? Um, and I was doing channeling, and I was doing all kinds of stuff, automatic writing for years, since 2003. I used to do automatic writing when I was younger, in my 20s as well. But when that happened, my life changed forever. Yeah, I am going to tell you, I could not even remember sometimes how to cook, how to turn on the oven. And I was the mom at home. They gave me all these cell memories. They would pop in, and I see these visions, and I'd feel it, and I'd be like, oh, I have to do that because I know how to do that. But that was what happened, was that version of me came in, the expanded version came into the human body, that Kelly, that's what I was named, okay, by my parents. But my guides had always called me Keleena when they would speak to me. Kelly left and Keleena fully came in. And so I'm here trying to figure out day-to-day stuff, not understanding earth things, don't know how to turn on the stove. I would sit there looking at it, pressing the things, moving it, turning on the wrong dampers. It was so horrible. I burnt pots of water, and I had been the mom that did organic homemade cooking. You know, I did everything. I like everything was from scratch. I did the gardening. I did everything. I mowed the lawn. That's who I was, the version of before that. And now I would go out and go, oh, how do you, I forgot how to turn on the lawnmower. And I would have to ask my son, like, how do you turn this on? Then he was like, I'll just mow, mom, you know? Um, and it makes me want to cry, because it was like a struggle to be in this physical body that I didn't understand. And so I try to help other people that have come in as walk-ins, that have had this, because I was divorced so fast after that, because the connection was gone. He had that connection with the version of myself, even though I still am this same soul. I came in because now they said it's time for you to lead the people. And I had been being prepared my whole life. But we didn't have that connection anymore. That soulmate connection that was there was gone. And all I can feel from him was tension now. So in May of 2015, we filed, and by August during Lionsgate, we were divorced, and it was done. And like that, my life changed in months. Um, so I had to, leave the house. And during that period, after I had left, and I had the kids half the time, but they said, take nothing except your personal belongings. So I took my clothes, my personal belongings. I took my table that I did healing on for people, and my crystals, um, and a few things from the kitchen, so that when the kids were with me, I would be able to, cook for them if I could, which was really hard because I kept burning things. Um, so it was really coming in and having to anchor into a human body again, made it difficult. Or I shouldn't say again, but so what happens is, when that version of you leaves, okay, the higher version comes in, the two versions leave, you leave from the heart chakra up. And so when the new version comes in, came from the heart chakra up. It's almost like a puzzle. That part leaves and goes up and takes that. And because the lower chakras from the solar plexus down are connected to the earth. And so when we have that connection to the earth, the physical body is connected there. So we don't take those lower chakras when the older version leaves and the new one comes in. It's like you come in and you just click in into this, and it goes from there. And now on earth, though, I am so rarely connected to the lower chakras all my work is from the heart up, the anahata heart, the sacred heart, the throat, the ear chakras, the third eye, the crown, and up. And it was hard to explain that to people if they haven't never experienced it. Not that many people experience it or will experience it, because it's something that I asked to do because I needed to come in and finish that stuff. And then I needed to come in, boom, because the vision that I had in 2004 was the countdown, the 20-year countdown of what was going to be happening. By the time I got here in 2015, I had the 5 years to prepare for 2020. And so it's just been like a whirlwind. And it's even today, I have to get on the earth. I have to touch and become one. This morning I went out and become one with the honeysuckle, so that I can ground myself as to try and hold myself fully as a human, an earth being, at the same time being this expanded version in the physical body. It's an experience. That's all I have to say.
Wow. Well, thank you so much for sharing because you're 100% right. There's so many different versions of like walk-ins. So I really appreciate because I have just recently been feeling this that, a lot of people are, because we're multidimensional, we're calling in different aspects. And it's almost sort of like for you to be in alignment with your mission and what's needed. You're like, I need this to happen in order for me to, whatever I need to do. So it made sense. But at the same time it's really challenging, right? Like what you're describing, imagine like not being able to remember how to do the most simple and basic things. And even around your family, right, they're probably like, mom, what is going on with you? Like, what do you mean you don't know how to do this?
Oh yeah, and one time I got in the car and I just looked at everything and I was like, I don't know how to turn on the car. I know I kept going like this. I kept waving my hand like a ship or something.
Yes.
And I was like, and my daughter's looking at me, who was actually had her temporary, and I looked at her, I go, I can't remember how to drive. And she goes like, you want me to drive, mom? I'm like, yes. We switched. And that happened so many times. And not just then, but even a couple years later, when my son had his temp, I remember getting into the car and then I remember starting to drive and then not remembering what side of the road to be on. And because I was like going in I kept shifting and jumping, quantum leaping into different realities. And I'd be like, oh my God, okay. And I pull the car over and be like, Dominic, you need to drive, or Kaylee, you need to drive. And it was so easy for me to jump into those different realities. I was like, am I ever going to be able to drive again? I don't want to be in an accident. So yeah, it's the
That
stuff
is
that
wild. Oh my goodness.
it's
Wow.
wild and it's scary, Vanita. It's scary.
Yes, absolutely. And I'm so grateful that there was someone else in the car with you, right? Otherwise, you'd be like, I'm just pulling over because,
Hmm.
if you're literally almost like jumping dimensions and timelines, you shouldn't be driving, right? So it's just so crazy. Oh my goodness.
It
Wow.
was.
Wow. Okay, so I'm going to kind of bounce back into a little bit more current. Um, so we've just gone through the full moon, lunar eclipse, lots of
Mhm.
energies coming in, lots of stuff happening. I know you've been going through a lot. And, even I'm someone that's like learning about your journey. And even though I've, been connected to you for a little while, it's always amazing, right? Because you're always learning more about people. And I know that you've personally gone through a lot these just this past week, right? With all of these energies come in. So, do you want to share a little bit about like what these energies are that we have just all encountered with like the full moon and, the eclipse? And then we'll kind of maybe lean into a little bit about the eclipse that's coming up as well.
Yes, absolutely. So this eclipse that we just had, this full lunar eclipse, and what they had shown me, what was coming in is, the lunar ones are connected to the feminine. The moon represents the feminine. It's just that way. So I had kept getting shown that was connected to the distortion of what has happened to the feminine on the earth, and that everyone would be releasing stuff, even the men, um, because we've been both. And so, since everything is in our DNA, we are clearing everything in the DNA that's still distorted. So, just really quick, just to cap off what happened to me, I do grid work on the planet. So, the personal stuff for me is pretty much when Kelly left, she had already finished her karma. The karma was cleared. That's why that version of me could come in. And that's why the grid work is actually the collective that I do. So when that was happening, they were showing me that all of this stuff was going to be surfacing in every person and every individual to release something, because full moon is always about releasing. We have to let go of the old to allow the new. And I mean, there's different representations of those energies. You can have Kali coming in to do that. Isis actually does that. Black moon Lilith is that power of helping you to remove the dark shadowy stuff within yourself, that's been created from the distortion that's in the templates and programs that were put in our DNA. And so I was shown that this was going to be emerging with this one. And it's all divinely aligned, because I'm starting to some channelings coming in. It's all in alignment with the elevation of the Christ consciousness that's coming for Easter as well, that's coming weekend. And then that following eclipse, that will be the full solar. So we've got to remove that dark, because we're going to be elevating with the Christ energies that are coming in. And then we're going to have even more, I almost said disruption for the solar, but it's our solar sun. The moon is connected to your emotions, your feelings, the feminine, the flow, water. And so we all had to go through releasing. And I'm seeing that's happening with a lot of my clients. But for myself, doing this as collective work on the grid, it was removing a distorted piece. I see them like computer chips. That's how they're shown to me. Removing this distortion that was connected to, I want to make sure I say this correctly, to not, because there's no blame in it. We all went through corruption. We all lived both sides. But what I saw was this masculine energy that came to the planet to control humanity and to control Gaia. And because of the way I was born and how I took on doing this work, I go into deep pain. It's excruciating. It can be numbing. There's because I'm picking up like the collective's pain in my physical body. And this has been since a child, but it's gotten even more after the walk-in. So the distortion was really coming up, and I was seeing the vision. And for 3 days, 2 days before the eclipse, it really started getting deep, deep, deep. And it goes into the roots, because we've got to pluck the roots. If we don't pluck the roots, even with our own journeys, if you do not pluck the roots on your healing, and that's what I do when I go in people's subconscious. And again, the moon is subconscious. If we don't pluck the roots in the subconscious, we are not reaching that level of healing that has to take place. So this full moon, or this, full moon, lunar eclipse, was going into people's subconscious to try and find those roots. Well, when I saw what was being taken off the earth collectively, with this distorted masculine energy and the ugliness of it, and they were all in gold when that being came right in front of me and just got blasted, when I had the Holy Spirit expand through me and just knock it off of its high horse and hierarchy back to the universe. And then we opened up a portal of light to take it back. I saw it coming off, all these people just rolling, these men rolling, all dressed in this shimmery gold. And it was a distortion of what the masking can be. What they said to me, it was the false papacy. And at first, when they were saying it, I couldn't understand what they were saying. I was like, papacy, fallacy, what? Because I could hear my guides, but at the same time, I hear everything that's happening in the universe, and I hear the echoes, and I hear them screaming because they've been jilted off, and they're going into the light and back to source, dissolved in love. And so I finally, after I settled down and the pain was leaving, I finally got the information clearly. It was the false papacy. If I'm pronouncing that right, please correct me if I'm wrong. Um, it is now disconnected. The roots of it are disconnected, and it is leaving, and it's being forced to leave because of the amount of light that people are bringing in, and the amount of light coming in from the sun, from the solar codes from the sun. That's going into the north crystalline grid, and then it's like penetrating. So it's coming both ways. It's like going in and it's going up. It's getting both ways, and boom, enough people were able to go within themselves during this eclipse and release the roots that they identified themselves with, that's in their subconscious, that's in the DNA from past lifetimes as these controlling masculine figures.
Wow, that's so powerful. But I think it's beautiful because it's very empowering, right? Because for those of us that have been on this journey, that we're like diligently like doing our work, and to know that there's um all of this like love and support coming in to support us, whether that's coming from Gaia, from the galactics, from our teams, our ancestors, like so many people. And thank you to Keleena so much, because you have chosen a path that I don't know a lot of people would have picked, but especially taking on the that deep level of feeling everything. And like you said, a lot of times you don't know because they're just like, trust. And you're like, okay, I'm trusting. Could I would like a little bit more information, please?
Yeah, trust. Yeah, when you're getting that kind of pain, it's like, what? And it's excruciating. It's like having a triple migraine in your whole body. So that's the only way I can um it's like also like for women that have given birth that have had back labor. I had back labor. Oh, that's where you can't even breathe. It's like that through your body. It's extremely excruciating and painful. And unfortunately, I'm not saying unfortunately because that's how I'm feeling right now. I agreed to do that. And I, like I said on that private video that you got through my email. I only sent that out to people in my newsletter, and my Patreon people have it. That private video that explained this whole thing. Um, that even in my Vedic astrology chart, the man, I remembered his name, Stephen, who did my chart way back in 2017, said to me, he goes, you chose a time to come at, most people would not choose this nakshatra because it means you chose to experience and to heal people, but to feel all their pain and to feel everyone's pain on the earth and help release it. And I was like, it finally in 2017, that was the person I had to meet to understand why I had all this pain my whole life. And he started putting the pieces of the puzzle together. But I'm still like yesterday, the other day after this all happened, I'm begging. I'm like, I don't want this anymore. I don't want this pain anymore. I'm, it's, it's been a
Yes.
long time.
And like it's almost like, we kind of joke, right? Because it's so easy to say yes when you're in a higher dimension. You're like, yeah, sure, I'll do that. And then when you come into this human body, you're like, wait, I said yes to this. This feels completely different from how I envisioned it happening.
Kind of reminding you that you're in a human body, but you know what? I would rather do it
Yes.
from out there.
Yes, absolutely, absolutely. So I love what you shared about this, because this really helps us to understand that this time is so incredibly important and purposeful, because in us doing this clearing, it's almost like we're clearing space in our vessels and our lineage to allow that light to come in so we can all, I don't know for lack of a better word, but like upgrade our frequencies, right? So that we can keep elevating. And I know we're going to dive in a little bit about the solar eclipse, and I also know you're going to be sharing some incredible activations with whoever's tuning in to this podcast. So I'm just going to let you decide what you'd like to do next, whether you want to talk about the solar eclipse or you want to do some activations. I'm going to throw it back to you.
Yeah, let me just really quick finish by saying that we are, as we do this inner work, and a lot of people are always like, what's inner work, or why do we have to do this inner work? It's to evolve our soul. And as we're evolving our soul, we're evolving the one soul, and we are evolving the consciousness of this planet. So it is so important to really dive in and heal yourself. That's your main purpose. When you came back here to awaken, a lot of people are like, what's my purpose? And I get that in all my sessions. You don't elevate and find your like illumined purpose, I'm going to call it, until you've done that inner work so that you can raise your vibration. You've got to let go of the programming of who you are and who you've been conditioned in so many lifetimes. That's in the DNA. Releasing that stuff to allow the light in, to allow that penetration of the source of the vibration to shift, the frequency to raise, so that you are living yourself at that higher levels, and you're living the true authentic, as the true authentic being that you are. And it doesn't happen overnight. That's another thing. People want to get from A to Z and skip the in between, the spiritual bypass. They're like, oh, I want to be like you, so just show me how to do it. And I'm like, can't do that. You literally have to go through the energetic hurdles of this process. And it's not a straight line. It's like, it's energy. It's like a wave of energy that you go through. So this next eclipse that's going to come up, this solar eclipse, it's going to be powerful as well. And solar is your inner sun, which is that illumines your solar plexus. Solar sun, it illumines, that's your inner power. So we are going to take on more codes that day with this coming through, but we have Easter Sunday, the day before. I call it Resurrection Sunday because I call it the day of the divine light, the day of Resurrection Sunday, when we have the Christ codes coming from the sun, the SON, which is the Christ energy. It comes from there. That's the Christ energy illuminated. And my guide showed me that years ago. They're like, the sun is the Christ energy. And people don't understand that. We come in through that and we leave through that. People talk about the portal of the light. That's where it is. It's also, they also call it the womb of the mother, the cosmic womb of the mother. That's what my guide showed me. So it's so important for us to connect with the sun. There's people that are like, oh, those people that follow the sun are this from the past, or oh, these people that follow the moon are this from the past. No, we're all in everything. And we need to understand that. But the higher frequencies and the higher elevation of the soul is connected through these portals. And this is a portal of light. We had a portal with the eclipse. We have this portal coming on next Sunday, Resurrection Sunday, which we're going to be jolted with even more light. The Christ consciousness codes are coming in. This is all getting us ready for middle of April, when this grand awakening is happening for everybody. Even the ones that are already awake, you're going to be awakened at another level. I already have it happening to me. That's why I know everything happens to me many times a couple months before I see what's happening. And it's fabulous what's going to happen. And it's going to awaken more people. So that next solar eclipse that's lining up is gearing everyone. I'm going to say this, be outside. Okay. They're putting fear. I just found out they're putting fear to tell, they're closing schools. I'm like, why would you close school? I didn't know this until yesterday. Someone said to me, oh, my work's going to be closed and school's going to be closed because they're telling everyone to stay indoors. And I'm like, I was in the path of totality in 2017. I was actually doing light language and bringing codes in and aligning things. And I literally looked at that eclipse with no glasses on. I didn't have them. because I was just told to get out and do my work. Nothing happened to my eyes, but what did happen when I looked at it was an amount of like energy went into my body, okay, and blasted me. I felt it go through my body. I felt the stuff coming off of me. So it was like a really massive clearing. So when they're telling people use these special glasses, so that, you don't hurt your eyes, don't go outside. Now they're saying don't go outside. I'm like, they're trying to prevent people from receiving what you need to receive because it's actually an act. It's all aligned. It's an act of source, okay, for everything to be illuminated, for shadows to be seen, but the illumination and the evolution of humanity and the planet. So pay attention when your media is telling you do one thing, do the opposite. That's what I want to say. Follow your own inner knowing, right?
Yes. Oh my God. That is so important. And thank you so much for sharing that, because we know that we're all aware that there's a lot of fear that gets pumped into every aspect. So this is the time, like, and I love that you highlighted this and really clarified it for all of us, that that inner work, it's not always easy. It's not always pleasant, but then you also know that the more that you do that, the more you're allowing that light to come in, right? So it's just such a beautiful thing, but use your discernment. It doesn't matter what anybody's saying, like what feels right to you. And you're so right. There's so many things about like, don't do this, and we're going to close this, and we're going to do that. It's again pumping that whole fear thing. And it's because I feel like I'm saying they know that this is so powerful, and they would prefer that people don't receive a lot of this clearing and energies. And so it's really up to each of us to decide what feels right, and don't buy into what's being told. Follow your inner guidance. And like Keleena sharing, like, I'm someone, I've noticed, I don't know how many months it's been, like I crave the sun. I crave the sun. Now,
Mhm.
obviously, I'm in a place where there's not always a lot of sun, but when it's out, I'm just plugging in as much as possible. And even if I can't plug in, I just call it in. I just say, I'm connected. Please share your energies and your healing, your wisdom, your guidance. So there's energetic ways to work with some of the things that you might not have access to. So I did want to share that too. But thank you, Keleena. That's really, really valuable information about the upcoming eclipse.
It's important to be out there. And I always say, take what resonates and leave the rest behind, because this is the information that I get. It's my knowing. I have all six clairs. I see everything. I speak to all these beings. I know what's going on, but also, there's a level of fear in the opposing energy that does not want the illumination to happen. And so definitely dive into your heart and feel the truth. And if your body says, if you talk to your body and you say you say, should I be outside in that eclipse? And all of a sudden you have this excitement within you, that's your higher self telling you yes. Do not discount what your body tells you. Our body is a physical tool that we were gifted from source to be able to use to get our own answers. If your body cringes, then follow that. That means no. But it's so important to dive in, use your discernment with everything going on right now. I always tell people you can even use discernment with me. I don't have to convince anyone of anything. I just deliver the information as a messenger, and hope that it helps to awaken people at the cellular level to tune into their self and their own frequency where they're at that time.
Yeah, I love that. And that's so important, right, Keleena? Because I think it's about, a lot of the work that you do is about empowering people to kind of, how you've been told, trust. You're empowering people to trust themselves. And of course, you're there to support them in all of the beautiful work that you do. But I think the message is always about empower yourself. We're all, a fractal of the divine, of source, of creator. So we have all of this beautiful power and gifts within us. We just have to believe and trust. And it's okay to look outside, to get information, to have some different perspectives, and to also tap back into yourself. And I think, like you said, this is a journey. It takes a while. You can't bypass. You really can't. Like, I've been on this journey since 2020, and there's so much to still explore and learn, but I can see my own sort of growth and expansion in these few years. And I feel like it's speeding up, and part of it is because I've done the work, I've put in the time, and there's always going to be work to do. That's the human experience. But it can get a little bit easier when you just start to lean into trusting yourself and your team, your guidance, your support, and just leaning more and more into that.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And as a way shower on the planet, that's what my guides called me, a way shower, an initiator of change. But also I show humanity the way back home to your sacred heart, which is to find your own answers. And I guide you along the way and teach you how to do things on the way yourself so that you have that confidence back in yourself and you trust what you're getting. Because so many people do not trust what they hear, what they feel, and they fall back into that trap of the controlled environment that someone else is going to save us outside ourselves. And so, very important, very important. Love yourself, trust yourself. I always say, the thing that I always say is know thyself, love thyself, be thyself. And if you really dive into each of those separately, you're really going to find who you are.
Yes. And what's beautiful about this is, and I know this is true for many people, is, it's literally like releasing all these layers of conditioning that we have grown up with, right? And that's the process. The more we release that, the more we get to see more of our inner light, right? But it's working through all of those layers, peeling those layers off to get to that. And it's a process, but it's also very beautiful. And I'm super grateful for where I'm in my journey. And of course, there are days when I'm like, okay, how am I doing with my trust? How is this working? I know I've made a lot of progress and there's still work, but I can feel it, right? In my own journey. So I love what we're sharing because it is about just reminding people to go inwards and absolutely listen to beautiful people like Keleena. There's so many amazing people that are here doing such collective work. And the whole mission is to help to empower all of us so we can also find our own way and collectively help to raise the energies and frequencies on this planet.
Yeah, 100%, 1,000%.
I love it so much. Is there anything else you would like to share about the eclipse?
Yeah, so I have a lot of people that are always emailing or messaging and asking questions. I've got people asking about this eclipse coming because they're putting fear out there of uh, that it's going to be something bad. You got to stay indoors in the United States, la la la. I literally pulled cards over a week ago on this eclipse because what I see is, and my January video on YouTube, I talked about how this is a year of magic. And everyone was talking about it. This is going to be a horrible year. It's going to be crazy. Well, at the third dimensional level, it is because it's the final releasing of that energy that's been clamped on, right? But what I've seen with this eclipse is that, it's being pulled off. And it's in so many different directions and so many different places, spaces, realities, dimensions, okay, truths, misbeliefs, misguidance, all being like the papacy was just removed with the lunar that was against the feminine. A feminine lying to their priestessship, which is just answering directly to source and not having to be inside of anything to actually do that. But with this again is lining up with the sun, okay, to get your direct codes from the light and to receive the light and become the light that you are, that you always have been. And tapping into the shadows that are still in you, the shadow aspects of yourself that have to rise, okay, that have to come forth. But when they come forth, you don't, they don't want you to take them in the direction of that you're a bad person during this eclipse because you've done those things. No, there's no judgment off of this planet. There's no judgment in source. The only people that judge are yourself. So as this is coming off and people are trying to take people into a lower vibration by holding them to this, making this a religious thing, although it is connected to old distorted beliefs, they want you to take everything to the higher elevated levels to remove the distortion within you, to remove the distortion off the planet, and don't get trapped in the fear of what they're saying this is. Because there's a lot of teachers out there saying, this is going to happen, and you better have food in the refrigerator, you better do this, you better do that. And I'm not saying spiritual teachers, and I don't watch these things. They're coming from people asking me these questions. Really attune in and align in your heart and know the truth if you need to do these things, okay? They're really trying to put a scare out there with the things that they are saying. But what I saw when I pulled those cards, I got new foundations with it was a home with a rainbow over it and a happy family. I got all these positive cards of the tarot deck, destiny, light, this light where the light's just like whoo, coming in. It was only 5 cards. I just pulled them and my guide said, stop, this is it. What this eclipse is doing is it is helping to remove that which is clamped on to humanity, humanity's consciousness through, okay, and I'm going to say this, and I don't be offended anyone that does go to church or whatever, but through religious texts, but ones that have been taken and distorted over hundreds of years of time. They changed the wording, they changed, everything. I don't have anything against churches, I don't have anything against religion because some people still need it, but this is what I'm being shown. So the clearing is happening again of that false papacy over this X. All right. What's happening over here? And it's not the United States that actually is the ones that started that, because this started thousands of years ago in other countries. It just happens that where it's happening here, so many people are really jolted into believing that their religion is the only one, those are the only people being saved, and that the other religions are wrong, or this is wrong, or this is wrong, and you people are wrong. And there's that discrimination. And we're trying to release from the discrimination at all levels, not just religion. We're trying to release the discrimination of everything. Again, of feminine and masculine. It goes back to that. It goes back to the discrimination of feminine and masculine because of the non-unification of who you are and who you think you are as a human on the planet. So we need to allow ourselves to remove the distortions, and that solar eclipse is going to do it. And it's not just, even though it's over the United States and placing the X there, because there's a lot of stuff, but I'm not going to say on here that I see going to happen. But it's going to be felt in every country, in every human. It does not matter where you are or who you are. Doesn't matter how awake you are, how long you've been awake. It doesn't matter if you call yourself a self-proclaimed guru, you're going to be affected. It doesn't matter if you're not awake yet, you're going to get affected. Everybody is. You're going to receive it at some level of consciousness, but also levels of unconsciousness. Again, that's going to help to remove that which has destroyed humanity. And that's why we are coming back into, they're saying, right relationship as a whole.
Wow. Powerful. Yeah, I love everything that you just shared. And what was coming to me is just so much in our universe has been about separation, and it's time to release that and bring the unity back, that whole unity consciousness. And so I feel like this is another grand opportunity allowing us to lean more into that.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Yeah. And it's needed. It's needed. We asked for the change. We prayed in lifetimes. Since a little girl, I've always prayed for peace on the earth, peace on the earth, peace in families. Because the family was kind of dysfunctional. 9 children, 11 people in the house. It was difficult. but I always pray for peace. And our prayers have been heard and are being answered. And we are the ones that we've been waiting for to bring the peace. We have to bring the peace within ourselves first. And that's why the inner healing has got to happen, because that peace comes, it's right here. It's in that high heart, that sacred heart, that chakra that is connected, or the energy center, whatever you wish to call it, that is connected to the divine feminine energy, the mother. And the mother is the one that brings the peace and the unconditional love. And that's why the Holy Spirit, the mother, is really awakening within all humanity on the planet right now, so that we can be in that higher vibration and frequency, that higher unconditional love feeling that's been so distorted on this planet. And I want to say really quick, years ago, I used to talk about this when they would show me marriages that would come together only for survival, because this person made so much money, or this person was saving this person from um the, what do they call that, when they would marry people off for money, those things. Even today they're still doing that. It's such a distortion. There was no unconditional love. You'd meet someone, you find out, now, oh, well, what do you do, oh, okay, this is good, oh, I love this person because they do that, oh, I love this person because they're going to bring this in the marriage, they're going to bring this, and we're going to have, two cars and a big house and a cat and a dog and two children, and it's all false. That is not unconditional love. Unconditional love is falling in love with somebody, and the heart, when you don't have two pennies to rub together, falling in love with the animal that you're holding in your arms, because you can feel the love of that being. You can feel the soul love. You can feel the God source love that's within the being. And so that's that source love. That's that mother love. That's really it's been restricted on the planet for so long from the programs. Now it's coming back in because people are being awakened and being guided to draw back into the heart and to live from here. And this is your true soul essence, unconditional love. So this eclipse is also bringing you back to your heart, this solar eclipse. It is bringing you back to align with the heart, because we have to let go of the old to allow the new. And the new comes in the solar plexus, the heart, the third eye. Those are going to be activated during this solar eclipse, so that this heart can expand, and the love that not only you have for yourself, but for humanity expands at such levels of godness and greatness and gracefulness that it's going to help shift humanity more into compassion and that divine relationship with all that we are.
Yes. Oh my God, I love that so much. And I know for me, and I'm sure a lot of people can relate, is that self-love part is so important, because so many of us have worked through that sort of like being worthy and being worthy of love, and going through all those layers and coming back to your own heart space and loving yourself first. I feel like it's so much easier for us to like love outside of ourselves. It comes so naturally, but it's about loving yourself unconditionally, all parts of you, all aspects, and just being proud of where you are, where you're sitting right now in this moment, and acknowledging everything that you've experienced and who you are and who you're becoming, and just being.
Absolutely. When I really started teaching at the way showing at that level, the higher levels, I really saw how, and I had the epiphany of, if you don't love yourself, you're not loving the source that you came from. You are not loving the divine creator source. You're not loving God. You're not loving Goddess, Mother, Father, whatever you wish to call it, because we are that. So if you're not loving yourself, you're not loving source.
Yeah, that's powerful. Very powerful. Ooh, my crown is tingling, Keleena.
Good. Let's tingle it some more.
Oh my gosh,
Yes.
so beautiful. So how are you feeling? Are you feeling like we want to share some beautiful activations with our beautiful audience?
Yes, yes, we definitely need to do this because it's going to assist with helping to release some of the things that are still what I'm seeing when people still like lingering, like the remnants of the lunar eclipse. Okay, so when you're releasing things, sometimes they're still like hanging out in your field. So it's going to help with that. And then we're going to help open clear the channel so that you can be receiving more that's coming in for more releasing, but also for receiving more light and the codes. So just so everybody knows, I am my guides call me, and I really have to get used to saying this. They call me a master of the language of light. And it's actually my natal chart too. My it's funny, my Mercury and Sun are like a degree away from each other in my house of work. And I'm here to bring through speaking language for my work in front of in the community because it's all in this. And I'm just like, when the girl was telling me all this in my chart and the galactic chart, she's like, you're like doing exactly what your chart says. She's like, I don't know if I have anything else to tell you. But when she told me that, I was like, now I understand why they call me a master of the language of light, because I can speak them all and channel them all as an open conduit for source. But I really had to get used to actually starting to say that now. They're like, you need to tell people that. And I don't want to claim myself as a master, but they're like, everyone on the earth is a master in something because you've mastered something somewhere in one of your lifetimes and you've come back to master other things. So for me to say that here, this is the first podcast I think I'm saying it on. Um, that is another big part of my work. And there's so many different areas um, as an ancient being, because we're all ancient beings, but we've mastered so many things. And we have to get used to saying that we actually are these things and not hold it back. Because when we hold it back, we're not speaking our truth. And that's what they told me. They're like, you're not delivering your truth. And if it triggers someone else when I say it, they said, fantastic. I was like, oh, because you're here to catalyze people, Keleena. And I'm like, and I know I do catalyze people. I can just walk in a room and catalyze people just by standing there. I've done I do it all the time. But so a master of the language of light so that I can bring through frequencies, tones, crystalline voice, vibrations, sound, light, and healing to initiate change within humanity and the earth. So it's always welcome to do it. And I always feel like it's a very big part of when I'm ever on a podcast to help people because I can reach as many as I can right here, right now. And it'll be for the collective. It's not specific for each soul. That's in sessions. I have to do a collective like activation. If that makes sense.
Yes, absolutely. And, it's amazing as someone who's, here interviewing you and having this beautiful co-creation. Like throughout the conversation, I'm feeling so much energy and activation. So I can't wait to see what else you're going to bring through.
Okay, good. Me too. Because even though it's activating all of those that are open and ready to receive, I get activated as well because it comes through me. So I feel it too. I'm just going to have everyone tune in. There's something that I want everyone to do. All you have to do is take a deep breath into the belly, breathe into the belly, the baby belly breath, expanding your lungs, and then exhaling out the mouth. Because you're releasing any tension, any buildup. Okay, you want to relax because you want to be open and ready to receive. So if you want to receive these codes of light, this healing, whatever's going to come through from the highest vibrations and frequency of my divine creator source for you, and that's all I allow to go through me, just say, I now receive this healing from Keleena. You can just say it to yourself, you can say it out loud. And then what I want you to do is I want you to say, I now align and drop into my divine sacred heart. And what happens is you leave the head, you leave the monkey mind, you leave your thoughts, you align in your energy system, and you drop right into that sacred heart. And you'll start either, some people feel their sacred heart vibrate, some people feel it expand or opening. That's what we want to feel. For those that don't feel energy, it's okay, don't worry, it's still happening. But this is where we want to receive. We want to receive into the heart. And it's going to activate you through the DNA at the cellular level. And it's going to create change within you. So just so you know, they're telling me right now, my guides are saying you're going to receive codes that are going to help to remove distortion at the cellular level, anything that carried in your DNA. So what's going to happen is these codes that come in, they're going to bring things up to the surface that need to be healed, that need to be revealed to be healed so that you can release them. So just know you might have emotions coming up. You may have things coming up the next few days or a week. And for those of you that don't focus on your healing, it may be a month. And this is part of catalyzing you at this level so this stuff can come up, so you can heal yourself and move into that relationship within yourself that's taking you out of distortion, of the separation of the masculine and feminine, and bringing you into wholeness in your heart. Okay, Mariana Urchnama'a. Okay. So I will be singing, when I sing that's the angelics, and then I will be speaking different languages of light. And there's galactic, there's elemental, there's the elvens, there's the fairies. There's so many different ones. There's the ancients, there's the earth language. So just allow it to come in and penetrate you, and know that all of this is done to help you to step into your power and to fully embody all that you are. We bring this to you now. Mariana Kach Narishna Ia Morunane. Hanya Saturamiara Hamakayarum Yana Sana So some of you will feel your energy center that's straight through your body. You will feel that. You might feel tingling in your spine. You might feel certain energy points on your body being activated, tingling. For some of you, you might feel like actual pain or blockages. That's because it's going to the area that it needs to go to so that you will release. Just allow this to occur. Sharaf ikhwene marach naskarastatet it iroshnema aro unama. Ka'awa ma'atapu utapu pok uno neshe na achunte nikiras a poch unikiki ot uroshneme nero ocha en ora ma ahe esiki ita erush ham ot ora nach as. Sama Kitas, mentiras. Sach mera uta nishkeras nit iroshnu, mar ich and urakara, mer in ir urashnara kara, mer iro unashnara kara. Fai. Na 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 maru satanya niera tua mia. May you be blessed in the light and love of our divine creator source for all that you are and all that you ever have been. Maruch namikia naya. Eternal love, eternal light, eternal life. Maya kita, maya ot. Many blessings. And breathe. Receive, allow, transform. Mariana, I am. Thank you. My guides are saying we are complete with the activations.
Wow, that was so powerful. And I just happened to like look up at the clock and it said 1:44. So I was like, oh my gosh, so amazing. Wow. I'm
That is
still
so
like, I'm getting so many chills still. I know that all of us that are receiving this, we also have to allow time to allow this to integrate. That was a lot that came in. So thank you to
14.
you, your beautiful team.
Yeah, they're saying the guides are saying 14 days to allow the activations to fully integrate at the cellular level. And so give yourself that time. It starts immediately, but there's going to be that 2-week period. Oh, when is the eclipse? Is that 14 days? How many days is that away? I
That's
have no idea.
8th, right? It sounds about right because
Yeah,
we have what, 31 days in this month? That sounds about right.
I'm getting goddess bumps. I'm just covered in goddess bumps. So 14 days allowed to fully initiate, but it's going to start immediately. Also, when you receive this, you can always listen to these again. They are nonlinear. So they can activate you and then they can activate you again after you've released some things. You can go back, listen, and it can actually initiate some more change. So don't think that you can only listen one time. That's why I always tell people, listen to my old YouTube videos with them because there's so many different activations in them to help you constantly. They're just there for you to help move you forward in this process and evolve.
Amazing. And yes, I think the way that I look at it, it's like everything's in layers, right? So this is going to help at a certain layer. And then once you've done that, then it go deeper and deeper and deeper. So 100%. I personally will be revisiting it as well. So I definitely encourage my beautiful listeners. But I just want to take this moment to thank you so much, Keleena, for joining me today to co-create this incredible session together. I know that this information is going to serve so many, and I'm so excited for when this comes out. This is going to be coming out right around the eclipse, so the timing is incredible. But I just want to thank you personally for everything that you do. I know you're getting ready to step out on some more adventures for the collective, and so as they say in divine timing, we were meant to connect today to bring through these beautiful messages and to share a little bit more about who you are. So I just want to encourage my beautiful audience that tunes in to please go and check out Keleena. All of her information will be in the bio section. There's so many things. We've only touched the surface of some of the things that she has shared today, but there's so much more that she offers. So please connect with her on all of her channels. Thank you again so much, Keleena. I'm so grateful to have you join me today.
Thank you for having me. I so appreciate it. And I also want to say thank you for doing your work, because without you reaching the people, they can't reach the healing that they need. You're giving direction where it's needed.
Thank you so much for that. I really appreciate it. And thank you again, my beautiful listeners. I look forward to catching you on the next episode.